You're sleeping, and you awake, and you've got this big dream in your head, vividly. And you see that dream really vividly in front of you. And dreams are really important. If you don't have dreams, as a company, as a region, thinking about this, or as a person, you're lost. You're probably going after goals, or doing all those, not important stuff. But if you don't have a dream, you're lost. And people that are changing the course of history, people that are changing this world, and people that are really introducing really new stuff in this world, they have dreams. They don't do a lot of stuff with big data or research or whatsoever. They have a dream. And with this dream, they can change a way of thinking. And they're not into doing things better or doing it more efficient. They are thinking about making change. And there's this one guy, sometimes he had this really big invention. And it was this invention. Any idea what this is? Not everybody. Steam machine. And any idea when the steam machine was invented? 17th century. The first steam machine was invented in 100 AD by a hero of Alexandria. And he has this idea. I need some wood, I put it under that thing, and it will turn, and there will be energy. And he had this imagination that maybe it could be used in production. So he had this idea of an industrial revolution. But he had this big idea, and he came to the board of directors of the Roman Empire. He placed it probably in front of them, and there you got those directors, like in a normal company or like in a government. So you have this idea placed in front. He said, I have this big dream. I want to change the way we work. I want to change the way we produce things. And then there's board of directors, they have to decide about this dream, and they said, well, get rid of this picture. But let's imagine that the Industrial Revolution would have taken place in the 2nd or 3rd century AD. This world would have been totally different. We probably could have flied in the 4th century or so, but the whole world would have been changed drastically. But it didn't happen, because the business case was not good. And that's the way we try to think about dreams and so on. We try to think about business case. The business case was not good because you need wood. And for wood, they had slaves. So what did the slaves then have to do? They had to carry the wood over here, so there was not a good business case. They could be producing anyway. And it was a very dangerous invention. Most of the things that change the course of history are dangerous for the people that need to think about it, whether or not it goes on or not. What's very dangerous, because what if they would have used this in a production way? The slaves would have been unemployed. They would have nothing to do. They probably would have thought about what's why am I living here or whatsoever, and they probably would have revolted against the Roman Empire. So this was a very, very dangerous idea, and most dreams, they are dangerous. But I think for this region, you first need to think about dreaming, about what will be the dream for this region, and not about thinking, well, we are going to differentiate ourselves to the other places tourists go, because then you're not dreaming. The only thing you're doing is making things a bit better or a bit more efficient, but that's not interesting, not for most people. So I'm going to tell you a story about changing, about renewal, not about improvement. I'm totally not interested in improving things. If you improve things, well, maybe you get a bit better, but the other guy will improve the other day, and he will be better the other day. So you're constantly doing more or less the same. So let's think about some barriers to innovation. Why is it so really hard to innovate and to come up with dreams and about really huge ideas? It has to do with our behavior. If you think about differentiating yourself, you think about, well, I'm one of these penguins, and maybe I want to be a bit different or a bit but most people, we really want to be part of a group. There are not so many people that dislike groups. We are part of a group. That's the way we evolved. That's the way we were born. So we think from a group perspective. So if you think about differentiation, you think about differentiating yourself from your group, and not about coming up with a totally new idea. It's something totally new. And when we are born, we are like this little pig, and we try to experiment. We can make folds. I saw some little kid up there and he wants to make noise. It's very good for a little kid, so please, if he wants to say something, let him do it, because that's the way little children behave. We come up with dreams and little children can dream, but then we become older and we get more income, maybe we get a house and stuff, and then what we do, we don't want to change that much. So when I think about young people, they are like this, and the more and more we grow old, we become like this guy. And this guy, then it's really hard to move fast. We don't want to experiment anymore. The only thing what we want to do is keep what we have. So everything that endangers what we have got up till that point in life, well, we try to push it away. And that's the reason why a lot of new stuff is being pushed away until somebody has this big dream about how to sell this dream to this world. And this is also what we believe in. We believe in specialization. Most people, they really want to specialize in one certain field. But what will happen with this giraffe? When the trees won't be that high, but a bit lower, he will die out very soon. He will die. And there won't be any giraffes left unless we come up unless we want to protect it. But this is what happens in a lot of industries these days. A lot of companies die because they are specialized that much in the financial industry, in tourism industry, and whatsoever. Specialized so much, they only thought about doing things a bit better, but not about changing the way they are doing, changing the way they are thinking. And then you'll die out. And that's really good, because when things die, things will be born and there will be new stuff. So I want to introduce a totally new animal to you. It was, and here it is.
First by fishermen off the coast of Indonesia in the 1990s. It looked like an octopus, but it could morph its shape in an instant to appear as seemingly any animal around it. At first, no one had any idea what it was.
The first time I saw it, I just was blown away. You couldn't get a more spectacular animal. It really is the pinnacle of wizardry.
Biologist Mark Norman was the first scientist to study this seemingly shapeless creature. He named it the mimic octopus.
The mimic octopus makes itself look like a living, moving animal. So it pulls all its arms around behind its body and swims along like a poisonous flatfish called a banded sole. In other cases, if it's getting attacked, it puts 6 arms down a hole and raises the other 2 arms to look like a poisonous sea snake that has bands along its body. If that's not enough, it'll swim along looking like a poisonous lionfish with these banded arms looking like the banded spines that come off these very deadly fish.
So far, 15 separate species are known to be in the mimic octopus act, and Norman is not always sure exactly what the mimic is doing. He observed this mimic scuttling along the sea bottom, looking something like a furry turkey with human legs.
Sometimes it's hard when you watch a mimic octopus doing what it does to interpret what's going on. It's a bit like looking at ink spots in a psychiatrist's office going, I don't know what that is. It could be a piano, it could be a fridge. So you get 3 or 4 divers together and you'll argue all night trying to work out what we think it was mimicking.
Where did nature's greatest actor?
It's a great animal. If I die, and some people believe in reincarnation, I hope I will come back as a mimic octopus, because he can do whatever he wants. If he sees a chance, he will adapt to it, and if he is threatened, he will adapt to it too. He is not the giraffe just doing one thing, that's the only thing I can do. He dares to experiment. And experimentation is very important. That's what children constantly do. They experiment constantly. And they drop down, they fall hard, they stand up and think about, oh, the other day I will do. But companies, governments, large companies, and a lot of people, they don't dare to experiment anymore. They think, well, this is the path I've taken, and I'm going to walk this path as long as I can, and I improve when I get older. But if you think about this, you need to experiment, also with the reason. I don't believe too much in doing things purely based on data, because data are based on history, they are past. And if you do everything on data, it's like speeding up with your car and looking in a rearview mirror. So you have to also concentrate about what will the future be. And the future will never be the way we now at this point think it will be. In 10 years, some things, new companies will have come up, and will dominate this world. Now we think it's Google, and in 10, 15 years, it will be another company. There's a barrier to innovation, that's our brain. For instance, how many dolphins do you see? Who of you sees dolphins? Because little children, they instantly see dolphins. Are there a lot of people seeing dolphins? You see 2 of them? There are around 8, 9 dolphins over here. But most of you, well, it's been a while you've been sitting here, so you probably see the other picture. And that's the big problem with data. Because if you got data on your desk, you're going to look for the things you want to see in that data. You're not going to look for the other things. There are not so many companies working with crazy guys who say, well, I see something completely different. Because then we say, well, you're crazy, or you're not educated well enough. So we have this, if you do everything on data, you probably will see the other picture because that's what you're looking for, but you won't see the dolphins. But there are loads of dolphins in here, 9 dolphins. And some of you won't see them, other will see them. Children see them immediately because they look for beautiful animals, and we probably look for the other stuff. This is what we do when it rains. We go and hide, we take shelter, or we go and run, while scientifically it has been proven that if you run to your car, you will get more wet than if you just walk slowly, but still we believe in time, that time is important for getting wet, but it's not. But this is the way we behave, like the older people, the people that are rational. This is what little children do. This is definitely more fun. But when there is an economic downturn, most companies, they behave like these guys. Well, let's take shelter, or let's make sure we don't invest that much. New brands, big brands, they always start most of the times, if you look at it in the last 100 years, in a crisis. Because then new ideas are necessary, the old ideas starve, and the new ideas will come up. And this is also what we do loads of time.
Okay, then Lauren's going to catch you. Okay, it's called the trust fall. Okay, trust fall. Ready, set, go.
Oh. One time more, please.
And close your eyes and just fall down, okay? Don't worry.
Okay, then Lauren's going to catch you.
Close your eyes, okay.
Okay, it's called the trust fall. Okay, trust fall. Ready, set, go.
The trust fall. And there's only one girl not making a mistake up here. This is the girl falling down, because the other girl was standing in front of her. She closed her eyes, and then this dad is saying, well, the trust fall, and he makes this big assumption that everybody knows you have to fall back. But of course, it has never been explained. But this is what we do on a daily basis. In this morning, when I listen to a lot of the stories, also the questions, we make a lot of assumptions. And if you make a lot of assumptions, in the end, you will probably have a bad product. Because we make so many assumptions during the day, what is going to be important to come up with a big dream that's totally different than the other dreams is challenge all the assumptions you make on a daily basis. If you take a small booklet and draw or write down all your assumptions for 1 week, you will have a really big book. And if you challenge those assumptions, you will find ways to come up with new ideas, to come up with different things. And then this movie also. We can learn a lot from children. She gets an iPad. She's 8 months old. She perfectly knows how to use this iPad. Then she gets an iPad that doesn't work, probably without batteries. She tries to make the pictures bigger. But this iPad, it doesn't work. So she gets another one. Look, she's sliding. But probably the batteries are out or whatsoever. It's not working. So she thinks, is it broken? She tries to do a lot of things with the magazine. And then we can see children of 8 months old, they can make, it's brilliant, a scientifically test. That's what she's going to do now. She thinks, well, reboot, let's go to the start. It's not working, so now she thinks, is the iPad not working or is my finger not working? So she tests it on her. Look, she's testing. Yeah, well, that one is working, must be the iPad. And it's brilliant, but what we do with children of this, what we do with these children, we take them to school after 3 or 4 years. They go to a school. And we say to them, well, now you have to use the old stuff. We bring them into an education system that's more than 100 years old, and we still believe in that education system because a lot of people are working in there that have done things in the old way. So if a new system is coming, if you really want to reinvent this, probably within 10, 15 years, the education system will be changed because then she is going to teach. But up till then, we believe in the old system, we believe in writing and doing things the old way. But people are really thinking about or making sure they interpret information differently. They want to do a lot of stuff with it. So we can learn a lot of children. So what you need to grow and to come up with your dream and to come up with a really good idea for this region is you need insights, and then, only then, ways to grow. Then you can think about ways to grow. And what I firmly believe is that you don't need to create. You need to combine. Let's look at an example. I've got here the coconut water in a bottle. I place it in front of you and I ask you, how do you get the coconut out of this bottle without touching it with your hands? How would you cope this problem? What ideas do you have to get the liquid out of that bottle? Ah, like that? Very good. That's idea one. More ideas. More ideas. I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking about those other 3 options too. We've got to grab it with my teeth. You've got a straw. Somebody thought a straw. I will ask somebody else to help me, or kick it and make sure it's been kicked. Those are the ideas you've immediately got in your head. I know them up front. Because what you're doing, I give a specific situation, a problem, you're instantly going to solve that problem. What you're going to do is reuse ideas which you have used before. That's what we do in a brainstorm. But then we've got this brainstorm teacher, and he says to us, well, now every idea is good. So then you can come up with a lot of stupid ideas, because they also say, well, if somebody has a stupid idea, please write it on a post-it and place it on the wall or whatsoever. So in the end of this session, you have 50 post-its on your wall, and you think, well, it was a fun day, but tomorrow I'm going to do my email stuff or whatsoever. This is not going to work to come up with breakthrough ideas. What's working is thinking about your problem, thinking about the assumption of your problem and what is the real problem. The question this morning was about, well, really think about the problem. If you think about this problem, this is my problem, how to move liquid. And then I can be creative, or I search into a database how I can move liquids. And if I think about absorption, this is also the way to get this coconut out of that bottle, the coconut fluid. So this is a totally different way of thinking, a different way of working. It's this way. Instead of solving your problem directly, you reframe it to a situation like yours. Then you look at the world's best ideas in that situation, and then you come down. So what you're looking for is making odd combinations that work and don't fight with each other. I firmly believe that somebody somewhere solves your problem already. Every problem has already been solved. There are not so many new ideas. I mean, we think we are more clever than people 2,000 years ago. Well, it's not, because studies show that we are getting, that our IQ is downgrading because of the bad food we eat. But we have this technology, and that is what is going on. But don't do benchmarking. Don't do too many benchmarks if you want to come up with new ideas. Benchmarking is like this. I want to be as good in 5 years from now as somebody is now already. So there's not that much use in benchmarking. So think about cross-industry learning. This is the deodorant, the first roller. And it's based on pencil. It's the same. You've got this big, small roll. You've got this container with liquid. And those two are exactly the same products, except for a different use. Velcro is based something out of nature. And also to open a can like this is based on the way you open a banana. So a lot of new stuff that's being reintroduced or introduced in this, it's not new, it's based on something else. Now go on. New tank of the British Army, you can steer it with your PlayStation pad. So they need now really good gamers instead of people with a lot of education whatsoever. They change the way you steer the engine instead of, well, let's look for this superwoman or superman we can find to draw it. So that's what I'm interested in. I'm working on a database with my company, and we put in all those information from products and things that are different, that are innovative. And what we do is, okay, if you've got this problem, well, let's search for that exact same problem that has been solved in totally different industries. Based on this, if you want to come up with new ideas or your new dream, first make sure what is the exact situation. Don't make assumptions. Make sure you don't make too much assumptions. And then think about what if, what can we do? What can we change? What if we would act like this industry? Or what would happen if we think about that industry? Then you're going to experiment what wows and think about, well, people react very good to it. Then you're busy with the future. And then what works? If it works, well, then enroll it and make sure it will be built up very good. And very important is, my mission is, think about, if you think about a dream or new strategy or whatsoever, make sure it's a monopolistic idea, that nobody else in this world has it already. If you think about differentiation, you're always thinking about the other guys. You're thinking, how can I differ myself from the other guys? So you're not the only one. So if you think about big, if you want to really change the way we behave or come up with great ideas, think about, is it a monopolistic idea? Is there nobody in this world that has it already? Or can I change that, adapt it in a way that nobody has it in that way? So, now I'm going on because of the time. I took some ideas from also from tourism. I really like this. This is what they did in Germany in the winter. And you don't need too much money, but you can promote very well that people want to fly. So this is done by a small travel agency. It was a brilliant idea, and it worked very well for them. And this is a really good idea. If you want to solve problems, combine two different sets of problems. This is what CNA does in Brazil. A lot of Brazilians, they want to learn English, but there are not so many good teachers that really can speak English very well. Problem one. Problem two, in the US, you've got a lot of people that are alone, that can speak English very well, but they feel alone and they are not in a social and not too big a social environment anymore. So let's combine these two problems. That is what they are doing. They're taking those students and they combine or couple them to a lady, for instance, from the US, and they really Skype a lot. They tape these Skype movies, so you, as a student, you have to tape them, and then your teachers will respond to them, whether or not you're doing fine or not doing fine. So those are solutions that are being based now and that are getting introduced. It's really clever to combine two totally different set of problems. And I was asked in the Netherlands to think about the new pier of Schiphol, the big airport up there, and well, they said, well, we've got all this data, and well, think about it, and let's brainstorm. I said, well, first of all, what you need to do is ask children, because they are going to use it anyway in 20 years from now, but really use the skills of children, because children dream on a daily basis, and the more older we get, we don't dream anymore, but we set goals, or we do small stuff. So children are very important in your innovation process, and really make sure that you understand the problem very well. I have been working on a project for a big constructor in the Netherlands, and they are really big also in Europe and in Latin America. And the things they have are plastic pipes, and the water and the toilet, they can go down in the ground. That's what they are selling. And they were just thinking about selling plastic pipes, better plastic pipes, more convenient plastic pipes or whatsoever. And then we had this project. I said, well, I know for sure nobody is interested in your plastic pipes. Really, no one is interested in those plastic pipes. People are interested in totally different things. And what we did a lot of research, a lot of talk, and we thought about the problems, for instance, in hospitals. The big problem in a hospital is everything that goes down the drain is filled with medicines and so on. Everybody that's sick, they take a lot of medicines, they go to the toilet, and it goes down the ground, and it's really damaging the water and the surface beneath those hospitals. So we said, well, let's come up with an invention to solve this problem, not the plastic, and then of course you are able to sell those plastic pipes anyway. So now we are doing a lot of innovation stuff to solve that problem, to make sure the water is not contaminated anymore. And they've got a different story to the hospitals. They are now talking to to the directors on the hospitals instead of the guys building it, and it works very well for them. Because at first they thought, well, they need better plastic pipes. Nobody needs those plastic pipes. They need a solution for their problem and to really come up with it. So this is the design process you can follow to come up with totally different ideas. And that's what I'm into, really dare to differ in the beginning. Because if you don't think big in the beginning, yeah, you will always end up really near to you. So dream big. And this is what Winston Churchill once says. Success consists of going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. So if you don't make failures, you're not dreaming big. Because if you dream big, of course, it's not easy to grab that. And you will make a lot of failures and you will bump your head a couple of times. But that's not a problem. As long as if you're failing, you're probably learning. So failing is good. But most people think, well, I'm not able to fail because failing is bad. No, failing is good because if you fail, you learn a lot. If you don't fail, you're probably just doing the stuff you normally did and you're a bit better or something. But if you don't fail, you're not learning. Don't make too much assumptions. We saw too much assumption will make an ass of you and me. So in the end, yeah, everything will look ridiculous or bad. So don't make too much assumptions. And consider about your behavior. That's not so much collective geniality in a flock of sheep going to a butcher. So think about, okay, we are with all of us, but are we all doing the same? And do we think in terms of better, of a bit more efficient or whatsoever? Don't be part of this group that's going in the wrong direction. And I don't know if you really believe in innovation and believe in things doing differently, because there's a nice word also in the word of belief. Maybe there's also a reason for a lot of problem in the world, but there's a lie in the world of belief. So some people, some companies say to me, we really need to invest in innovation, so on, and the more I discuss with them, it's not true. They're not interested in innovation. They're not interested in changing. They are just interested in improving. And to me, improvement is not innovation. That's what you do on a daily basis. But if you want to come up with really big ideas for these regions, don't start with doing things a bit differently or improving what they do in the other countries or whatsoever. No, dream big. And that's really what I believe. Every problem, if you dream big, you can think about, okay, if you dream big, we have this insight, how can we make sure that this dream will come true? Then you can think about how did other guys in other industries did it. Learn a lot from the other guys, not from the guys like you, because they think in the same framework like you do, but look to totally different industries. You can learn a lot from different industries, so don't benchmark, but look to other. And there's always an alternative. When nothing goes right, go left. So there's always an alternative. That's for your personal life, but also from your government or company or what you're working for. And this is what John Lennon once said. When I was 5 years old, my mother always told me that happiness was the key to life. When I went to school, they asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. I wrote down happy. They told me I didn't understand the assignments, and I told them they didn't understand life. And that's exactly what it's all about. So make sure you have fun, a lot of fun, and this is the last movie.